All right, so I've got my black thread and my matching black bobbin, and we're going to thread up the machine. So to begin, I'm going to slide my spool onto here. You may have a pin sticking up to put your spool on. That's all right, exactly the same. And then I have a little thread cap to keep my spool in place. Next, most machines, any machines that I've seen, have a numbered sequence for the thread to pass through. Step 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's a little hook down here to hold the thread in place. 6, and then through the needle. All right, perfect. So now we've got our thread threaded on the top, and now we're going to put in our bobbin. Now, bobbins can come in two ways: a drop-in, which is the top facing, easier to maneuver, and more current machines will have the drop-in style, or this piece of your sewing machine may be able to come away and you have a regular bobbin case that you pull out and load the bobbin into. In this case, we have a drop-in bobbin, and we can put this right back here, and we're just going to literally drop that right in face up, and then follow the little picture and arrows if you have an area where the bobbin needs to be threaded. You may or may not. Now, if you don't have an area to thread the bobbin, it just means that you need to pick up the thread. So we want to use the hand wheel, turning the hand wheel towards us, and come down and see how the thread from the top will slide across, loop across the bottom, and we just want to pull that thread up. Oh, I missed it there. Let me grab my tweezers. I always like to have tweezers on hand for this, just in case. There we go. So now both of our threads, top, spool, and bobbin, are up on top of the machine and facing out the back. That's how we want to get started. That's how we want the machine to be set up. Now, after threading all of that, we're going to undo our work here so that we can wind a bobbin. And I've chosen black because for me, my bobbin is almost entirely out, not enough to really sew anything. So I'm just going to pull the last little bit of thread off of there so that we can get ourselves a new rewound bobbin. So we want to make sure that the presser foot is up. That relieves all of the tension inside of the machine where the thread is running. So whenever we're threading the machine, we always want to leave the presser foot up. Same with pulling the thread out now so that I can wind the bobbin. Again, we want to make sure that the presser foot is up. And for me, I can tell that because I have this little red arrow that turns green when my presser foot is down. But always just make sure you reach back and check. Now, bobbins are usually threaded on the top of the machine, and the first two steps of threading are going to be the same, 1, 2, but instead of going down this way, we're going to go off to the left here. I have a little curly cue that mine slides through. Each machine will have a little tension dial with a little pigtail, they usually call it, something that curls off of the tension dial that the thread goes through. Then I'm going to put the thread through the hole in my bobbin and pull and set the bobbin on the machine. Then, to activate the winding instead of the sewing, I'm going to push that over. And again, each machine is a little bit different, but they all mainly function this way. So your machine should have a very similar threading version to this for winding a bobbin. And then for me, you see my arrow has gone yellow, which means I am in bobbin winding mode. And now I'm just going to press my pedal, and I'm watching. I held that thread so that it didn't come through, but after it got going, I'm going to trim that off so it doesn't get tangled. And then as I'm winding the bobbin, I'm watching to make sure that the thread is staying on the bobbin and not going up above and getting wrapped around the spindle or down below. We want to make sure that the thread is evenly being threaded onto the bobbin. Just always watching. And typically it will shut off itself when it's done, but I don't like to fill them too full, so I'm gonna stop right there. Slide it over, pull it off, snip the thread, and then we're right back to winding our fresh new bobbin just like before, and threading our machine just like before, and threading that eye of the needle, the trickiest part as always. All right. And then once more using that hand wheel to pull that little thread from the bobbin up so that we've got both of our threads on top and running out the back. Now we are ready to sew.